Science and Citizenship, and welcome to 3rd grade Summer Scholars 2020. After just 2 days of Summer Scholars, some of you have already earned your first badge and have become masters of main idea. Awesome job so far. Our next topic is we're going to dive into social studies. And in the beginning of Summer Scholars, I told you that some of the topics are going to be reviewed, some things that I think are really important that I want to remind us of that we did during the year. And then other things are going to be brand new material that we didn't get a chance to cover so far in 3rd grade, and now you're getting a special opportunity to learn. I took a look back at all of the social studies curriculum throughout the year and tried to pick out something that I think is really important that we didn't get to yet. So hold on to your wallets, kids, because we're about to learn about money, also known as economics. At the end of this 2-day economics lesson, you're going to be able to answer a lot of questions. First, you're going to be able to explain to someone else what economics means. You're going to be able to tell the difference between goods and services. You're also going to know why some things are more expensive than other things. You're going to be able to distinguish between the 3 kinds of resources that businesses use. And most importantly, you're going to come up with your own business idea and start to think through what you would need to do to start your own business as a 3rd grader. Let's get started. So what makes economics economics? And why do we even use money at all? Well, it all starts with this idea called scarcity. Scarcity means that we have an unlimited amount of wants. There are so many things that you and I might want or need in our lives, but there's a limited amount of resources for us to be able to get what we want. This is scarcity. When you think of scarcity, you might think of how everyone wants a house, but that maybe there are not enough trees or bricks in the world to make every single person a house. That's why some of us have to live together. Another thing you might think of is the game of Minecraft. Alright, I don't play a lot of Minecraft, so bear with me. You might know a lot more about this game than I do. But here's something I discovered when I first started playing Minecraft. Basically, I have an unlimited amount of wants for things that I really want to build. But in the mode that I'm playing in, which is survival mode, I have to go out and collect all the resources in order to build things and make things. It takes a lot of my time to go out and track down flowers and to make dye and to chop down trees to make wood. Basically, these resources are scarce, and I need to spend my valuable time collecting them before I can just go and build things. Minecraft's a lot like our world. There's a limited amount of resources, such as trees, space, and my time, and I need to be very particular about how I want to use those resources to build things and live my life in this virtual world. So now you know scarcity, and that's one of the most important parts of economics. Unlimited wants, but a limited amount of resources to get what we want. Now, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, now would be a great time to take it out, because I want to make a list together. Think about all of the things in the last week that you or your family spent money on, and I'm going to do the same thing. As kids, you don't spend a lot of your own money, so think about what your family bought. So what kind of things do you have on your list? I'll tell you a couple things on my list. One thing is gas for my car. Another thing that I bought was tennis balls, so I could go play tennis. I also went to the car wash last week. What kind of stuff did you come up with? So in economics, all of the things that we buy with money can be broken up into usually one of 2 categories. First, we have goods, then we have services. Goods are stuff that we buy. These can include food, sports equipment, toys and games, school supplies, computers, and cell phones. We also have services, stuff that makes us happy, but usually not physical things. These are usually things that people do for us. These can be car washes, getting a haircut, going to a concert, having a teacher teach you something, going to the doctor, or being served by a waiter or waitress at a restaurant. So take a look back at your list. Are the things that your family purchased in the last week, are they goods or are they services? Or do you have a mix of both? So one of the most important questions in economics that I like to think about is, why are things different prices? And what makes something more expensive than something else? This is a very complicated question, but price basically tells us how important or how valuable we all think something is. So something can be expensive for a bunch of different reasons. Can you use your imagination and maybe come up with one reason why you think some things are more expensive than others? A good example of this is, think about riding in an airplane. Airplanes are pretty expensive, and it's more expensive to fly somewhere most of the time than it is to drive somewhere. This isn't always true, but a lot of times it is. Why is using a plane more expensive than using a car? Like I said, there are a bunch of reasons why using a plane might be more expensive than driving in a car somewhere. Here's a few of the things in general that make things more expensive. Number one, it can be really hard to make a plane compared to a car. Airplanes are probably much more complicated and require more specialized parts than a car. And maybe that's why it's more expensive. They're also a lot bigger. It takes some really special machines to make a plane compared to a car. Another thing that can make something really expensive is it's just popular. A great example of this is thinking about a famous singer or band at a concert. The more famous the people on stage, usually the more expensive the tickets to go see them are. Another thing that makes expensive things expensive is that they could be made out of rare resources, or resources that are pretty hard to find. For this idea, think about why diamonds are so expensive. Diamonds, over the course of history, are a very rare element. You don't just find diamonds laying down on the side of the road. You have to dig and dig to find diamonds. And that's why diamond rings and diamond jewelry is really expensive. Diamonds are hard to find. So all of the different goods and services that we and our family purchase are created with resources. There are three basic categories of resources. And the first one is natural resources. Natural resources are pretty simple to think about because they're anything that comes directly from nature that we use to make something else. So here I have an example of a wooden bench that I actually made on my own. The wood from this wooden bench came from trees. So that's one of the natural resources that I used to make it. The next type of resources in our economy are human resources. These are all of the people that do the jobs in our economy. So machines are great, but machines usually don't do anything without a person either moving them or telling the machine what to do. Think about a bus, for example. Buses are really useful for transporting kids to school, but that bus wouldn't be very useful without the driver bringing it around to people's houses and driving the bus. In my bench example, I'm the human resources. The wood and this hammer and measuring tape didn't just create this bench themselves. It took my knowledge and my strength to figure out how to make the bench. And finally, we have capital resources. When you think of capital resources, think of resources that are used to make other things. So think about factory machines and other kinds of tools that we use to make other things. In my bench example, my hammer and my measuring tape are capital resources. These are things that I used to make a good. So you might think, as a third, soon to be fourth grader, that you don't have much to contribute to our economy. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. I think you have a lot to contribute to our economy. And lots of kids start their own businesses to sell things and make money. Think of that lemonade stand from a few videos ago. There was a pretty young girl, about your age, that was able to make a lot of money creating her own lemonade stand on the side of the road. Other businesses that kids start are car washes, cookie sales, obviously lemonade stands, or some kids make their own jewelry and bracelets to sell. There's a whole wide variety of business ideas that kids can actually pull off. So your big project for this unit is thinking about, if you were to start a business, what would that business look like? What skills and talents do you have to share with the world that you think people would pay for? And also, what would it take to start your business? What kind of resources would you need? How much would you charge for the goods and services that you produce? You don't have to come up with all of the details now, but I want you to start thinking about what your business would look like. Because I think that you're all very young entrepreneurs and that you have a lot of great ideas to contribute to our economy. Let's do a quick review of what we learned so far today. We learned that economics is the study of how society uses limited resources. Usually, it's the study of money. Then we learned that our economy is based all around scarcity. This idea that we have unlimited wants, but that the resources available for us to get what we want are limited. We have to share them. Then we learned about the difference between goods and services. We talked about why some things are more expensive than others. And finally, we talked about the different kinds of resources that it takes to create goods and services. Natural resources, capital resources, and human resources. And finally, you started thinking about what your business idea would be if you wanted to start a summer business like a lemonade stand. Right now, head to Google Classroom and check out the challenge task I have for you. I want to figure out how much of this economic stuff got inside your brains, and I want you to practice these topics and think about what your business is going to look like. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we'll meet up for a class on Zoom, and we're going to start to talk about our business ideas and how we can make them come true. Nice job today. I'm glad we got the opportunity to think about economics. And see me at office hours or send me a message if you have any questions on how this stuff works. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.